It's insane to think about just where we were before that opportunity that kind of like arose. Like oh my gosh, I remember before I ever got that job, I was digging ditches.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Little Nessy podcast. My guest today is a good friend of mine, Trey Rigdon. Trey is a chief marketing officer at Summit Funding and is an absolute treasure of a man. He has a heart of gold and an extremely contagious laugh. We worked together in marketing for 7 years, and man, do we have some stories to tell. You'll hear some of them in this episode called Digging Ditches. If you would subscribe to our channel and like the video and help us grow our podcast to new audiences. Hope you enjoy. Trey Rigdon.
Is this you starting?
This is me actually starting.
Do we start off with a cheers though?
We do start with a cheers.
Hell yeah.
Cheers, sir.
Cheers to you.
It's awful sounding when people when you take a drink, just move your mic away.
Was that me or you?
It was both of us.
Oh God.
It's awful sounding. When I was editing with me and Kelly, I was like, oh, you can hear the liquids going down the throat and oh.
Nobody needs that.
Hey, can I just acknowledge something real quick?
You absolutely can.
So new brand for me, Little Nessy. I told you how I picked orange. We're not going to go into that, but I've been building up some swag, some apparel. I didn't realize it that I totally look like a hunter right now, straight out of West Virginia.
You absolutely do.
I could go hunting right now,
and you should likely, especially with the flannel underneath, like or what do you call that?
Henley. Or no, Henley is the button, the 3 buttons. I don't know.
The stuff that you like wear, I don't know. My dad used to wear this stuff when he worked at the shipyard.
Yeah.
To stay warm because it's cold out there.
I'll go deer hunting tomorrow.
There you go.
Wearing the same thing.
You should. And then you can actually have like a new prop once you get like the head over here.
Yep.
That's a weird thing to say.
All right. So Trey Rigdon, CMO, Summit Funding. Give us a 30-second intro.
Oh, man. Yeah. Trey Rigdon. Love marketing. I think the big thing for me is that, my passion is to just care about people and try to figure out ways to be able to do that in a way through marketing and to be able to communicate through marketing that way. Figure out a way that you can make sure that people feel something when they actually engage with your brand, when they engage with your marketing. Something I'm really incredibly passionate about. So try to do that in all of the last 3 places I've been.
Let's talk about first impressions. When you and I first met each other.
Oh my gosh.
Set the scene a little bit.
Okay. A completely empty warehouse building with a bunch of cubicles everywhere and some random tall skinny dude walking around in skinny jeans with a camera in a building that had nothing in it. Just walking around doing his own thing. That was the first time I remember seeing you. Was that also the day of the earthquake?
That was a different day.
But it was like close in proximity.
No, maybe it was. Yeah.
Because I remember like there was a few people that were moving into the building. And oh my gosh, yeah. Like I remember seeing you there. It was on the 2nd floor next to that really, really jankety elevator in the back of that building. Yeah, that was my first impression of you. Wait, hold on. Then what was I've never asked you this. What was your first impression of me?
Oh God. You completely had the youth pastor goatee. What do you even call those?
Oh, yes, the youth pastor goatee.
Youth pastor goatee. But I'll say this, Trey, I've known you for now 13-ish years. Yeah. The amount of energy that you have when you first meet someone is kind of electric. I was about to say, I'm not being serious. I am being serious. I'm being 100% serious, but that carries through your just personality. You're one of the most genuine, electrifying people I know. When you first meet someone, you're just over the top excited to meet them, and it's genuine. And that's the feeling I got from you. I was like, this seems like a good guy. We sat directly across from each other. You doing graphic design, me doing video at the time. And 13 years later, here we are. You're now an executive at a large mortgage company. I'm starting my own marketing agency
And gosh, time flies.
It's insane to think about just where we were before that opportunity that kind of like arose. Like oh my gosh, I remember before I ever got that job, I was digging ditches.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah.
I was digging ditches for my light guy because I was doing the traveling band, the Trey Rigdon band, because of course I'm not vain. But I was digging ditches for this guy, and got the call to be able to go ahead and be in a place to do graphic design. And they already had two other designers at the time. And when he kind of made the call, I remember going up and meeting Kobe Harris, and I had ripped jeans. I was like over here wearing ripped jeans. I'm positive that I still had dirt underneath my nails because I'd rushed up there. And yeah, I remember having that interview. That was the most intimidating interview that I think I've ever had in my life. And then I went 10 years, almost 10 years at that company, never having another interview again. And so, I mean, I remember like all the other opportunities that I've had, to be able to be a part of other mortgage companies, constantly thinking about, oh my gosh, I've only ever done one interview. How in the world do you even begin to prep for that? But yeah, man, that's what I was doing before. But even to know that you were also kind of like, because right before then you were still doing
home security systems.
Yeah.
I was in that industry for almost 11 years, about 5.5 working for ADT Security, about 5.5 owning my own business. It's been a while since I've done that. And I told myself I would never own another business by myself again. But life happens, I think I learned a lot. I learned mostly what not to do in running a business back then. Yeah, I was doing security systems and really just got a touch of a glimpse of the creative world almost by accident. That's a whole nother story we won't get into right now. Maybe for when we have our friend Joe Little on, because it's very relevant to him. But you spoke of having dirt in your fingernails from digging ditches. Wait, let me get to that in a second. Did you go to school for graphic design?
No, unless you consider the school of YouTube and a bootleg version of Photoshop school.
Same, completely self-taught.
Yeah.
But you talked about dirt underneath the fingernails from digging ditches. Like a lot of people use that as a euphemism. Euphemism?
It sounds like a Treyism.
It is a Treyism. Euphemism. Euphemism.
I'm just so happy that like we're at a day and time where I can actually correct like how you were saying that.
Anyway, I bring that up because I've got dirt under my fingernails right now because I've been working on getting this podcast studio. It's a work in progress. But what do you think of my podcast and video studio?
I think it's amazing, to be perfectly honest with you. The fact that I walked in here, I had no idea. So when I walked in, I was like, I don't know where we're going. And the fact that it was like in here, I was like, this place is completely transformed from the last time I was here. You've done a heck of a job, man. Like to be able to get it all set up and to be able to have things be able to move in and out. Dude, this is awesome.
Yeah. I woke up one night when I decided that I was starting this company and I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
We always talk about like, I think about times where the three of us, me, you, and Joe, had an opportunity to be able to talk, or any other time within our careers where we just sat around, had a drink, and been able to talk. And it's always been curious to me whether or not like those conversations would be interesting to other people. And so I think like being able to have like an open conversation, have a drink, and to be able to kind of talk like this, it kind of gives some insight into, I think, the way that our brains work. And I think that like it's one of those fun things to be able to kind of look back at. It just goes back to show just like I think the coolness of our relationship and friendship.
Speaking of conversations, if we had a time machine and hopped in it and went back, what did our conversations look like early on when we first met? I remember you and I went to a print vendor to look at a $70,000 printer so we could do things faster instead of doing it on 5 copiers type thing, when we're still thinking small, but our eyes hadn't been opened yet. But what did our conversations look like back then?
One, hey, maybe like, I think there was a conversation about getting into the cheese.
Moved your cheese. Who's moved your cheese?
I don't remember, but there was a conversation about cheese.
Who's moved your cheese?
There was also conversation like, honestly, I think what was really cool was that, like, I think that we had some really cool past experiences that we were able to kind of lean into from an inspiration standpoint. And I think that it was really fun to be able to be a part of creating content, creating collateral that I think that we both felt that it kind of resonated with a little bit of kind of our passions at the time. And so like, yeah, I think they were kind of like that. Then there were the ones where we stayed up at the office until like 3 a.m. building a website and walked outside to see the back of your truck window busted out.
That was more like 5 a.m.
Oh God, right?
Because I literally went home, showered, and then came right back, turned around for the Friday morning meeting, which was at 8 or 8:30.
Yeah.
So that was probably 5:30 or 6, staying up, launching big websites and so on. Man, how's marketing changed since we started in 2000? Well, I was 2011. When were you?
I think I started in 2000, and it was end of 2009. So it was October 2009.
How's marketing changed in, what's that, 14 years, 15 years?
It's changed a lot. I've actually been asked that. I've thought about that a lot recently. One of the things that especially when you think about mortgage marketing, I've kind of broken things into like 3 seasons. That 2000 to 2010 was like, hey, you have the big Great Recession. Then there was like a conduit of change that happened. There was a big, kind of chasm of a void that needed to be filled with people that wanted to be have integrity with what they wanted to do from a marketing perspective and in the mortgage industry. And so out of that 2000 to 2010, you then get the big rise of the IMBs from the big bank culture. And I think that was where we found that there was an opportunity to be able to tell a story that invoked some form of emotion that made people feel something and want to be a part of something more. And then you look at like the season that I think we find ourselves in now, 2020 to go to 2030. And then like, it's less about, hey, we go and we're looking at, those big old Ricoh printers that cost $70,000. And it's God, social media wasn't even a big thing back then, and the way that you actually promote your business. And so I think like this next wave that we kind of find ourselves in is going to be another one of those big evolutions, like over the next decade. It's going to be fun to be able to kind of watch.
Yeah. Well, focus on social media for a second, because that's a big part of my business. Gosh, I think when I first started in the creative world, dabbling in it as a hobby, turned into kind of a freelance thing, side hustle. The very first video I think I uploaded to YouTube was in 2006 or 2007. And when I joined Movement, 2011, social media was just really, it was a thing, but it's kind of became its own thing now. So how does a loan officer, look at that?
Yeah, I think there's really 2 avenues that I think that people can traverse with social media. Avenue number 1 being, hey, I'm going to go ahead and produce content. I'm going to use that content to be able to kind of boost my brand, get in front of new people, get in front of new eyeballs, create good conversion opportunity, and then be able to have a great follow-up campaign. That's number 1. I think there's another one out there as well that I've kind of started to, really encourage loan officers to do. That the big barrier to entry when it comes to social media is I don't know what to post. I don't know when to post it. I don't know what to do. I just know that I need to be doing it. And so one of the things that I found myself kind of encouraging people to do was like, hey, look at social media as the next bar, the next place that you would go to be able to meet people, to be able to build authentic relationship, find communities that have some of the same things in common with what you like, and then be able to go ahead and show people that I do mortgages really well and start to kind of grow that social proof. And so that's the other side, I think, of social media marketing that some people never kind of get onto because they think that they have to be that big brand or that big idea. And I think that when you marry the 2 together, you get the perfect social media strategy: personality, great content that's educational, but then somebody that manages their community, is trying to grow their following, and that is engaging with people intentionally, trying to show that they are the authentic person that they kind of present themselves to be.
There are a lot of loan officers that either just haven't gotten that comfort level with social media, right? They don't know what to post. They're nervous on camera. They've never heard of Canva. Or you've got loan officers that are just crazy busy and just don't have time for it, and good for them.
Listen, not to hate on copywriters, because I love copywriters. Their ability to tell stories is something that's incredibly unique, but the ability for somebody to easily be able to kind of put in a prompt into ChatGPT these days to be able to start to fill their social media calendar. And then again, it just goes back to how good are you at being able to understand your subject matter expertise to be able to kind of, prompt the prompts.
Yeah. I think you say copywriters. I think those are probably in marketing, that is, I think those are probably the first people that got a little bit nervous when ChatGPT rolled out. The last year or so is just the advancements is just nuts.
What was it? There's a quote. I can't remember where I read it. It was like change or die.
Probably.
So it sounds like a good quote. It has to be from something that
have you seen the Tesla robot?
No.
Have you not? What's the main transformer in Transformers? Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
It's called Optimus, or maybe that was the code name for it. I don't know. But Tesla is working on a robot that is just absolutely nuts. I mean, it's Tesla, or not Tesla, but Neuralink. What's the name of the company?
Yeah.
But they just successfully transplanted the first brain chip, AI, into a dude's head, into his brain. And I saw a video of it just the other day. He's now just playing on a computer. He's playing chess just with his mind. Yeah. Controlling it through his mind.
So do you think that that's ever going to be able to replicate genuine humanity in the way that I think people genuinely love one another? Like, I don't think that's where I think that the limit of AI, it automatically has like a finite endpoint. A place where it cannot ingest or create. It has to have some form of something to be able to continue to kind of build and make it smarter. I don't know.
It's $1 million question. I mean, I think most people would point to Terminator.
He never had any humanity though. That guy was just freaking crazy.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's probably experts that say that, that's going to happen sooner or later.
It's going to be interesting to see what that does to the marketing services of the world. You mentioned graphic design, videography, copywriting. Already, I found massive augmentation for my own self on just being able to use ChatGPT to be able to develop content. Design, like video, But like if you look at the time of progress between where it was last year to where it is now, and if you continue just to, multiply that out, it's going to be, who knows?
Have you tried the design piece with it?
I did.
I did too.
It all looks the exact same. It looks real cheesy.
Or they've just got some weird something going on, a hand coming out of their head when it shouldn't be or something.
There was a Marvel TV show that did their entire trailer. I think it was Secret Invasion. They did their entire trailer based off of AI. Like it was AI generated.
Interesting.
It was really cool.
Have you ever been in a sales position? Full-time job?
No.
Talk to me about the empathy or the understanding that you have to, because I've been in sales, was in it for 10 years or so, literally, not the entire 10 years, but some of it, where I went literally knocking on doors, both residential and small business, small mom and pop thrift stores or sandwich shops and that kind of thing. And gosh, it's a tough position to be in, sales, and especially when you're full commission. That I think sometimes we forget in marketing and plenty of other departments in the corporate world. But talk to me about kind of the empathy that you kind of maybe sometimes catch yourself when you might be going down, why this or why that, when you really have to switch gears a little bit and think like a salesperson.
Yeah, dude, I think that's one of the things that a lot of mortgage marketing departments, I don't want to say they struggle with, but it's hard to, because if you haven't been in a sales position, it's hard to be able to have that empathy because you don't know. You might just see somebody that's asking for another flyer or another social post, or can you make this one edit to my logo or video? And you don't necessarily see the fact that they have had to grind just to be able to get in front of that one realtor. They have to grind just to be able to get that one realtor to give them one referral that they then have to depend on everybody else throughout the chain that's helping manufacture that loan. They have to depend on every single one of those other people to make sure that that experience is good so they can get another repeat, referral. And like, I think that there's a level of, sales is easy. Like you just go out there and you continue to build relationships and they'll come to you. That's totally not how it works. And I think that the last year, 2 years have really kind of shown that as we've seen, interest rates skyrocket. I think it's been hard for loan officers and real estate agents as they've been trying to be able to find like, where is the next opportunity? And I think that has to be like every marketer's kind of command is like, you have to get to a place of genuinely sitting in their shoes with them. Try to feel that pain that they feel, that fear of not being able to make their mortgage payment, that fear of not being able to help make sure that their kids are having that payment for college tuition go through. That fear is something that I think is absolutely real, that I think that sometimes we forget. And I think that out of forgetting some of that, people get frustrated and they're just like, oh man, why do you want this one change of this one thing? Well, no, they're dependent on that one social media post because they think that is genuinely going to help bring in another deal.
This is going to be a good segue because you mentioned you've really tried to you've really been focused on that the last 5 years, and it just so happens to be 5 years ago when you got put into a senior leadership, like in marketing, you're the head guy. That was about 5 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about leadership, because you mentioned sometimes the frustration with the marketing team that, oh, why do I need to do this one more thing? When you're in that senior position and you have that much face-to-face with sales, interaction with sales, you get it. But when you lead a large team, sometimes a lot of people, copywriters, graphic designers, may not interact with sales on a daily basis like you do when you're in a senior leadership position. And 5 years ago is when you interacted a lot with sales, when you and I worked together.
Yeah.
But it's usually the person in the top position that has the most interaction. But when you're actually put in that position, you're the full stop. You're the end all be all when it comes to marketing. That was your transition. It was about 5 years ago. Yeah. So talk to me about how your eyes have opened from a leadership perspective, from going from you having a boss in marketing to next your boss is running the company, right?
That was one of the most crazy transitions that I think I ever kind of experienced. Mainly because I left Movement after doing almost 10 years there, thinking that I knew marketing. I
remember you calling me.
Dude, I thought I was the number one goat out there. I was like, let me go show everybody. And then immediately got into a senior leadership role where, and God, even and it was at a direct-to-consumer shop as well. And so going into direct-to-consumer, that was every nickel, every dime is counted. And so it's, oh my gosh, now I need to be able to speak to ROI. I need to be able to speak to how are we performing as a team? How are we driving more opportunities as a team? And so I think that holy crap, that was a little bit of an eye-opening, I think, opportunity for me to be able to initially be able to see, hey, how much does a loan officer, how much are they actually kind of bringing in? How little is the margin for error for them? And then the responsibility to then be able to communicate that back out to your team, I think, and help them be able to develop a sense of empathy was not an easy task to start off with. But, kind of figured it out, and we were able to kind of continue to move forward with it. But I remember calling you being like, I think I sent you multiple texts, and I was like, dude, so you had to deal with this? Oh, man. Because it was just so many random different things. I'm struggling to even think about what some of those things are. But do you remember any of the random ones that I would send?
Specifically, no, but I remember hearing just the general sense of, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now.
I think it was the weight of being able to see behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Actually being able to see, we sit here not being in a senior leader role and or an executive role for that matter. And you question everything. You're like, hey, dang, Dave's not over here telling us anything new. He's whatever, da 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 da. And then you realize, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I see that now, and I see that I don't know how I would ever have been able to explain X, Y, and Z to my team.
Yeah.
And there was multiple times. I think I could probably count at least 4 or 5 times I just sent you a random text being like, bro, you had to deal with this?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, your job sometimes is to be a translator. Mm-hmm. Take everything that you maybe just heard or learned about and whatever it might be, an executive board meeting, whatever it is, and how do I translate this to my team where they don't need to hear this or they shouldn't hear that or they need to hear this type thing, but how do I stitch that all together and translate that to make that one big vision for our department, our team, our growth? A big part of being a leader is, translating, the corporate mumbo jumbo into why them pressing that key matters.
Yeah. And you walk out of some of those meetings sometimes and you're just like, oh my gosh, I actually have to put on a good face right now. I know some things.
Yeah.
And I have to put on a good face. I got to make sure that I'm still motivating the team. It's my responsibility to make sure that they're still performing at a peak output, even though I know X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Those are things that are just heavy and they weigh on you. I think that those were a couple of the things that I remember reaching out to you about. I was like, the weight of knowledge sometimes is incredibly heavy. It's incredibly heavy. And then trying to lead through that. I don't even think I did a great job, to be perfectly honest with you. It's still one of those things that I'm still trying to figure out and she'll try to learn how to be better with. But good Lord, It's important. It's an important part of leadership. You ever find that that line between don't put out crap and
Yes.
you just got to deliver shit?
Oh, got a funny story about that one, but we're building a website and I hired this one developer that we had some challenges with. And back in those days, I was probably overcritical. I was like, no, it's not right. It's not right. It's not right. But that I was new in the world of website development and didn't really have a full grasp of what went into it. And so I kept on nitpicking. You were there that night.
I was there.
I kept on nitpicking. It's a pixel off, or it's not the right hex code, or whatever it might have been. I don't remember the specifics, but I kept on nitpicking because I wanted it to be perfect. And the guy said to me, done's better than perfect. I was like, bullshit. That's just your excuse to put out crap. And I think he was right in his own way. I was right in my own way, and we just kind of had to meet in the middle a little bit. We'll wrap this up. Just two more things. Give a plug for your company, Summit Funding.
Empowering people, fueling development, and achieving results. And out of those three pieces, I think the thing that gets me the most excited is the fueling development. In a time where we find ourselves where there are so many different companies acquiring other companies, there are companies looking to be able to acquire the next branch or the next top loan officer out there. Summit finds itself in a place of just wanting to lean into its ethos that it's always been a part of. Our CEO, Todd, this guy has really kind of built this entire company off of this concept of, hey, I can invest in people. I can coach people up and teach them not only the belly-to-belly skills that you need to be a great loan officer and to be able to kind of manufacture a loan, but also how do you kind of compete in this type of a market? And so what are ways that we can actually start to teach loan officers and develop their skills from a marketing and a sales perspective and not be so crazy, provoked on how are we going to become the next, $38 billion company? No, how are we going to become the next $38 billion company with, with great loan officers? So yeah, there's my plug for Summit Funding. Any available loan officers out there?
Well, I said there were two more things, but before I get to the last, your hair has stood up remarkably well with wearing headphones for the last hour.
It's hairspray.
Me too.
Yeah, obviously.
All right. The last thing was that we started with a cheers, so we end with a cheers. Do you know the term for cheers in Gaelic or in Scotland, what they say when they do a cheers?
Nope, only know in German.
Slanjavar. You'll see it on some of my stuff and my marketing, so Slanjavar.
Slanjavar.